A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad. Kama sallaita ala Ibrahima wa ala ali Ibrahima. Innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad. Kama barakta ala Ibrahima wa ala ali Ibrahima. Innaka Hamidum Majid. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbana zidna ilma. Ya muqallibul qulub sabbit qalbi ala dinik. Ameen. Today we'll do Surah As-Sajdah, having 30 verses in it. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. Alif Lam Mim. حروف مقطعات. تنزيل الكتاب لا ريب فيه من رب العالمين. There is no doubt in this revealed book from the Rabb of the universe. أم يقولون افتراه بل هو الحق من ربك لتنذر قوما ما آتاهم من نذير من قبلك لعلهم يهتدون. Verse number 3. Or do they say that he has fabricated it? Nay, it is the truth from your Rabb, so that you warn a nation to whom a warner has not come before you, so that they may be rightly guided. الله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وما بينهما في ستة أيام ثم استوى على العرش ما لكم من دونه من ولي ولا شفيع أفلا تتذكرون. It is Allah who created the heavens, the earth, and whatever is between the two in 6 days and then rose to the throne. Beside him, you have no protecting friend nor any intercessor. Will you not take heed? None but Allah knows the meaning of the opening verse because it is from Huruf Muqattat. As explained at the beginning of Surah Baqarah, Allah declares that the Quran is a revelation from Him. After which He quotes the mushrikeen who say that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam fabricated the Quran. Allah replies to their objection by stating, "Nay, it is the truth from your Rabb." Allah then sheds light on the objective of the Quran. Allah says that He revealed the Quran so that you warn a nation to whom a warner has not come before you, so that they may be rightly guided. The nation referred to in this verse is the people of Makkah. Although none of the previous Anbiya alayhi salam came to them, they did receive the message of Tawheed from others and were aware of the Anbiya alayhi salam. They were the descendants of Hazrat Ibrahim and Ismail alayhi salam, both of whom were Anbiya alayhi salam. They therefore received the message of Tawheed from their origin and knew that Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam worshipped only one Allah. Therefore, one cannot argue that they should be exempted from punishment because no Nabi was specifically sent to them. Allah says in Surah Fatir, a warner passed in every nation. A warner does not necessarily have to be a Nabi, but can be a representative of a Nabi or any religious scholar who preached Tawheed. It is Allah who created the heavens, the earth, and whatever is between the two in 6 days, and then rose to the throne. The explanation of this has passed in the commentary of verse 54 of Surah Araf and verse 59 of Surah Furqan. Besides him, you have no protecting friend nor any intercessor. Will you not take heed? None can help another against Allah's punishment, nor can anyone intercede on behalf of another without Allah's permission. Verse number 5. يُدَبِّرُ الْأَمْرَ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ ثُمَّ يَعْرُجُ عَلَيْهِ فِي يَوْمٍ كَانَ مِقْدَارُهُ أَلْفَ سَنَةٍ مِّمَّا تَعُدُّونَ. He ordains every affair from the heavens to the earth, after which every affair will ascend to him on a day, the duration of which is 1,000 years according to your account. Everything that occurs in the universe takes place only by Allah's ordinance. According to His divine plan, all of creation and their deeds will be presented before Allah on the day of Qiyamah. When He will pass judgment, the day of Qiyamah will be equal in length to 1,000 years of this world. While the above verse mentioned that the day of Qiyamah will span 1,000 years, a verse of Surah Marriage states that the duration will be 50,000 years. When Hazrat Abdullah bin Abbas ta'ala anhu was questioned about this apparent discrepancy, he replied, Allah has mentioned these 2 days in His book and He knows best about their reality. I dislike to pass a comment pertaining to Allah's book without knowledge. Some commentators have mentioned that the difference in duration will be with regard to different people. To some people, the day will seem to last 1,000 years, while it would appear to others that it is 50,000 years because of the added torment they will suffer. In fact, according to a hadith, the day will be so easy from the pious mu'mineen that it will seem to them as short as the time taken to perform the 2 rakah of salat. Verse number 9, I will recite from verse number 6 till 11. Zalika alimul ghaibi wa shahadatil azizur rahim. It is He who has knowledge of the unseen and the seen. He is mighty, the most merciful. الذين أحسن كل شيء خلقه وبدأ أخلق الإنسان من طين. He has perfected the creation of everything and originated the creation of man from sand. ثم جعل نسله من سلالة من ماء مهين. Verse number 8. He has then made man's progeny from a product of lowly water. ثم سواه ونفخ فيه وروحه وَجَعَلَ لَكُمُ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارَ وَالْأَفْئِدَةَ قَلِيلًا مَا تَشْكُرُونَ. He then perfected him, blew His spirit in him, and granted you ears, eyes, and hearts, like the gratitude you show. Verse number 10. وقالوا أإذا زللنا في الأرض إنا لفي خلق جديد بل هم بلقاء ربهم كافرون. They say when we are lost in the earth we will be recreated. The fact is that they reject the meeting with their Rabb. Verse number 11. قُلْ يَتَوَفَّاكُمْ مَلَكُ الْمَوْتِ الَّذِي وَلِكُلَّ بِكُمْ ثُمَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكُمْ تُرْجَعُونَ. Say the angel of death who is appointed over you will claim your soul, after which you will be returned to your Rabb. In these verses, Allah continues to describe the phenomenal attributes. Allah says that it is He who has knowledge of the unseen and the seen. Allah is aware of everything that man can see and whatever he cannot see. Allah is also aware of every event to occur in the future as well. Added to this, Allah is also mighty, the most merciful. He has perfected the creation of everything. According to Allah's perfect wisdom, He has created everything in accordance to its function. Consequently, every creature carries out its designated function according to Allah's perfect design. Therefore, even if something does not appear to be physically beautiful, it does not mean that Allah created imperfectly. Allah also originated the creation of man from sand. The details of this has been given in Surah Hijr, verse number 26, and also appear in the concluding verse of Surah Sa'd, verse 71. He has then made man's progeny from a product of lowly water. After Allah created Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, He made the rest of mankind reproduce via the male and female sexual act, whereby the child is born of the mother's fertilized womb, referred to above as a product of lowly water sperm. He then perfected him by performing his limbs and organs within the womb, blew His spirit in him, and fashioned you when He granted you ear, eyes, and hearts. Thereafter, the child is born with all the capabilities of a human being, gradually progressing through the various stages of development. Whereas man is supposed to be grateful to Allah for all of these bounties, Allah declares, "Little is the gratitude you show on of mankind. There are very few who truly express their gratitude to Allah. Of these, there are even few who are as grateful as they ought to be. They say when we are lost in the earth, they will really be recreated. The fact is that they reject the meeting with their Rabb. In this verse, Allah repeats the subject matter of many other verses, highlighting the way the kuffar rejected the belief in resurrection after death. Allah announces, "Say the angel of death who is appointed over you will claim your soul, after which you will be returned your Rabb." This verse makes it clear that all will have to die, after which they will be resurrected and presented before Allah on the day of Qiyamah. Allah has appointed the angel of death to extract every person's soul. It will be then that the punishment of the kuffar will begin. Verse number 12 till 14. ولو ترى إذا المجرمون ناكسوا رؤوسهم عند ربهم ربنا أبصرنا وسمعنا فرجعنا نعمل صالحا إنا موقنون. If only they saw the scene when the criminals will bow their heads before their Rabb, saying, "O our Rabb, we have seen and we have heard. Return as that we may carry out good deeds. We are now certainly convinced." ولو شئنا آتينا كل نفس هداها ولكن حق القول مني لا أملأن جهنم من الجنة والناس أجمعين. If we willed, we would have granted every soul its guidance. However, the decree has issued from me that I will surely fill Jahannam with a collection of man and jinn. فَذُوقُوا بِمَا نَسِيتُمْ لِقَاءَ يَوْمِكُمْ هَذَا إِنَّا نَسِينَكُمْ وَذُوقُوا عَذَابَ الْخُلْدِ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. So taste the punishment. Because you forget this day, we have forgotten you as well. Taste of the eternal punishment because of the deeds you perpetrated. The previous verses quoted the kuffar who said, "When we are lost in the earth, will we really be recreated?" Now the above verses speak about those very same people when they will find themselves before Allah on the day of Qiyamah. Allah says, if only they saw the scene when the criminals will bow their heads before the Rabb, saying, "O our Rabb, we have seen and we have heard. Return us to that we may carry out good deeds." We are now certainly convinced about the truth of what the Anbiya alayhi salam and their successor told us. Of course, then, it will be too late to make amends. Allah says further, if we willed, we would have granted every soul its guidance. However, the decree has issued from me that I will surely fill Jahannam with a collection of man and jinn who have perpetrated kufr. When Iblis had shown that he would mislead man, Allah had already told him then, "I shall certainly fill Jahannam with you and all those who follow you." When Hidayah, guidance, is interpreted as pointed out the right direction, that then every person will receive this type of guidance. However, if Hadaya is interpreted as taking a person to right destination, then everyone is also blessed with this. Allah has defined the path of Iman and the path of Kufr. Each person have been given the freedom to choose. Allah says in Surah Kahf, "Speak the truth that comes from your Rabb. Whomsoever is willing should believe, and whoever is unwilling should remain as a disbeliever." We have surely prepared for the oppressors a fire the walls of which will encompasses them. Verse number 29. Of course, in His eternal knowledge, Allah has always aware of the fact that certain people would be destined for Jannah, while others will be doomed to Jahannam. The promise of being good upon returning to the world is a blatant lie. As Allah says in Surah Anam, if they were to be best back to the world, they would return to what they have been prohibited from, and they truly are liars. Verse number 28. In Surah Fatir, Allah mentioned that they will receive the following reply to their request to be returned. Did we not grant you sufficient age in which the one who takes heed may take heed? And did a warner not come to you? So taste of the punishment. The oppressor will not have a helper. Verse 37. Allah will then tell them, so taste the punishment because you forget this day. We have forgotten you as well. Taste of the external punishment because of the deed you perpetrated. Now I'll recite from verse number 15 till 22. إنما يؤمن بآياتنا الذين إذا ذكروا بها خروا سجدا وسبحوا بحمد ربهم وما لا يستكبرون. Now this is a ayat of Sajdah also. Only those people believe in our verses who, when they are reminded about them, they fail in prostration. Glorify the praises of their Rabb and do not behave arrogant. تتجافى جنوبهم عن المزاجع يدعون ربهم خوفا وطمعا ومما رزقناهم ينفقون. Their sides part from their beds. They supplicate to their Rabb in fear and hope, and they spend from what we have provided for them. فلا تعلم نفس ما أخفي لهم من قرة أعين جزاء بما كانوا يعملون. No soul knows that pleasure are hidden for him as a reward for the deeds he carries out. أفمن كان مؤمنا كمن كان فاسقا لا يستوون. Can he who believes be like him who is a sinner? They can never be the same. Verse number 19. أما الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم جنات المأوى نزلا بما كانوا يعملون. As for those who believe and do good deeds as entertainment for them, they shall be gardens in places of rest because of the deeds they carry out. وأما الذين فسقوا فمأواهم النار كلما أرادوا أن يخرجوا منها أعيدوا فيها وقيل لهم ذوقوا عذاب النار الذي كنتم به تكذبون. As for those who are sinful, their abode shall be the fire. Each time they attempt to emerge from it, they will return to it and told, taste of the punishment of the fire which you used to deny. وَلَا نَزِيكَنَّهُم مِّنَ الْعَذَابِ الْأَدْنَى دُونَ الْعَذَابِ الْأَكْبَرِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ. We will definitely let them taste the closer punishment before the greater punishment so that they may return. وَمَنْ أَظْلَمُ مِمَّا ذُكِّرَ بِآيَاتِ رَبِّهِ ثُمَّ أَعْرَضَ عَنْهَا إِنَّ فِي الْمُجْرِمِينَ مُنْتَقِمُونَ. Who is more unjust than he who is reminded of the verse of his Rabb and then turns away from them? We will certainly exact retribution from the criminals. Describing the traits of the Mu'mineen, Allah says, only those people believe in our verse who, when they are reminded about that, they fall in prostration. Glorify the praises of their Rabb. Do not behave arrogantly. These are the people who truly heed the advice given to them by Allah. Further describing them, Allah says, their sides part from their beds. They supplicate to their Rabb in fear and hope, and they spend from what we have provided for them. This verse praises those who perform Tahajjud Salah. They sleep only a short while at night, after which they separate from their beds to offer their devotions to Allah. They pray uh, fervently to Allah, hoping for His favors and fearing retribution to their shortcomings. Fear and hope form an integral part of a Muslim's life so that he always carry out good deeds, anticipating towards from Allah the abstains from evil, fearing the punishment for it. The person who has no fear for Allah will succumb to sin and will not be inclined to perform good deeds. Only performance of tahajjud is mentioned in this verse because it is obvious that the person who is particular about tahajjud will be particular about the other salah as well. In addition to the above, Allah mentions that these pious mu'mineen who spend from the wealth that Allah has given them, the general implication of these words includes zakah as well as option charity. Be it little or a great deal, spending in charity does not mean that a person has to be wealthy because a poor person can also spend according to his means. Even though the sum may be small, it has been reported that certain poor Sahaba Raziallah Ta'ala Anhum specially took employment to carry out menial tasks so that they should spend the accurate funds in charity. As already mentioned, the verse their sides part from their bed refer to the performance of Tahajjud Salah. This is corroborated by a hadith in which Hazrat Mu'adh bin Jabal Raziallahu Ta'ala narrates that on a journey he once asked Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to inform him a deed which would allow him to enter Jannah and remain distant from Jahannam. The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam replied, "You have asked a great question, which is in reality is not really very difficult because Allah makes anything easy for whoever He wills. The deed is that you worship Allah without ascribing partners to Him, establish salah, pay zakah, fast in Ramadan, and perform Hajj of Allah's house. Should I not inform you of the doors of good?" Thereafter, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam proceeded to enumerate the following. Fasting is a shield which protects one from attack of shaitan and one's carnal possessions. Charity extinguishes sin, that is, it protects one from the fire of Jahannam. Performing salah during the middle of the night is the special sign of Allah's pious bondsman. After mentioning this third point, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam recited the verse, "Their sides apart from their bed, they supplicate to their Rabb in fear and hope, and they are spent from what we have provided for them." Thereafter, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam continued to say, "Shall I not inform you of the root of Allah's command and the pillar of it?" When Hazrat Mu'adh Rasulullah Ta'ala asked to be enlightened, the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "The root of Allah's command is obedience, the pillar is salah, and the pinnacle is jihad. Should I not inform you of source of all this, whereby all will be practicable?" When Hazrat Mu'adh Raziallahu Ta'ala asked to be informed, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam held his tongue, saying, "Control this and secure salvation for yourself." Hazrat Mu'adh bin Jabal Raziallahu Ta'ala then asked Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, "Will we be taken to task for the things we say?" The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam Will we be taken to task for the things we say? The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam replied, "O Mu'adh, it is strange that you should ask such a question. People will be flung headlong into Jahannam solely on account of the things they say. You are safe as long as you remain silent. When you speak, your speech may be a cause for you to be rewarded or punishment." Narrated by Malumat Tanzil. Mishkat, page 14, also corroborates the fact that their sides will part from their beds. Refers to those who perform tahajjud. The author of Malumat-e-Tanzil has reported from Hazrat Ans radiallahu ta'ala anhu that the verse refer to the Ansar. They used to attend the Maghrib Salah and not return home until they had also performed the Isha behind Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He has also reported that the verse refers to all those Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum who continue to perform Salah between Maghrib and Isha Salah. Hazrat Abu Darda Razi Allah Ta'ala anhu, Hazrat uh, Abu Darda, yes, and Hazrat Ubaidah bin Samit Razi Allah Ta'ala anhu have all mentioned that the verse praises those people who perform the Isha and Fajr Salah with Jummah in congregation. Malumat-e-Tanzil, volume 3, page 500. None of the above interpretations contradict each other because the verse may denote all them simultaneously when a person is able to part from his bed for the optional tahajjud salah. He will certainly be able to do so for Fajr salah, which is obligatory. Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu mentioned that he prefers to perform the Fajr salah with Jummahs rather than stand in tahajjud salah to entire night through. Narrated by Mishkat. Hazrat Asma bin Yazid radiallahu ta'ala anhu reports from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that people will all be gathered together before Allah all the day of Qiyamah. An announcement will then be made with the words, "There are those who parted their sides from their beds." Thereupon, a small group of people will arise and enter Jannah without reckoning. Thereafter, reckoning all commands for the rest of the people. Narrated by Mishkat, page 487. Allah makes a concise mention of the bounties of Jannah when He says, "No soul knows what pleasure are hidden for him as a reward for the deeds he carries out." Allahu Akbar. Hazrat Abu Huraira radiallahu ta'ala reports that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah says, "I have prepared for my bondsmen such pleasures in Jannah which his eyes have never seen, his ears have ever heard of, and which have never crossed his mind." Hazrat Abu Huraira radiallahu ta'ala then added, "If you wish, you may recite the verse. No soul knows what pleasures are hidden for him as a reward for the deeds he carries." Narrated by Bukhari, volume 2, page 704. In reality, no bounty of Jannah can be described. The description of Jannah given in the Quran and the Hadith cannot adequately depict the pleasure of Jannah. When people reach Jannah, they will find much more than what they were promised in the Quran and the Hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These pleasures cannot be perceived in this world. Hazrat Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas radiallahu ta'ala anhu reports that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if a minute article of Jannah small enough to be lifted by fingernail was brought into this world, everything between the heavens and the earth would be beautified by it. If a person from Jannah was to peek into this world, the illumination from a single bangle he wears will illuminate the radiance of the sun, just as the sun illuminates the radiance of the stars. Narrated by Mishkat. Hazrat Abdullah bin Abbas radiallahu ta'ala narrates that going of this world shall be found in Jannah. The only similarity between the things of Jannah and those in this world will be in name and appearance. This means that the gold, silver, silk, fruit, etc. of Jannah will be vastly superior to the namesakes of this world. In praise of his pious bondsmen, Allah says, important note is written here, and they are not arrogant. Pride and arrogance causes one of the think highly of oneself, to look down on others, and to seek fame. One then begins to engage in acts of worship so that people laud and praise one. Pride and ostentation destroy the reward of all good deeds, causing one to be subjected to punishment. Allah's bondsmen should steer clear of pride and duly fulfill all the obligations stipulated by the Sharia, by these optional or obligatory. Further praising the Mu'mineen, Allah says, "Can he who believe be like him who is a sinner?" Allah then replies when he says, "They can never be the same." Describing the reward of these Mu'mineen, Allah says, "As for those who believe and do good deeds, as entertainment for them, there shall be gardens in place of rest because of the deeds they carry out." Allah then projects the opposite side of the picture when He says, "As for those who are sinful, their abode shall be the fire. Each time they attempt to emerge from it, they are returned to it and are told, 'Taste the punishment of the fire which you used to deny.' Therefore, how can people be the same when they are destined to experience such a diverse consequences?" The author of Malumat-e-Tanzil writes that the verse, "Can he who believe be like him who is a sinner?" was revealed with reference to Hazrat Ali Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu and a mushrik called Walid bin Uqba bin Abi Mu'ayt when an altercation erupted between the two. Walid said to Hazrat Ali, "Be silent, you are a mere child. I speak better than you, can throw a spear more accurately than you, and am more courageous." In reply to this, Hazrat Ali Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu said, "You should be silent. You are a sinner." It was then that the above verse was revealed. We shall definitely let them taste of the closer worldly punishment before the greater punishment in the hereafter, so that they may return. The following two interpretations of this verse have been reported from Hazrat Abdullah bin Masud Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu. The worldly punishment mentioned in this verse refer to the severe drought and crippled the people of Makkah. This punishment refers to defeat of the Makkans mushrikeen at the Battle of Badr and the death of many of their leaders on this occasion. The above two interpretations will apply if it is assumed that then refer to the mushrikeen of Makkah. However, it will also be corrected to assume that the verse applies equally to every kafir in every era. They will therefore be afflicted with various calamities and diseases as a punishment in this very world. This interpretation has been reported from Hazrat Abdullah bin Abbas Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu. Allah afflicts them with these adversities so that they may take heed and sense the need to mend their ways and to become Muslims. Narrated by Ruhul Mani, Volume 21, page 134-135. Allah states further, "Who is more unjust than he who is reminded of the verses of his Rabb and then turns away from them? We will certainly extract revenge from their criminals." In this verse, Allah takes it clear that those who deny his verse are unjust and oppressive. The verse also consoles Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam because it states that Allah will take the kuffar to task for their misdemeanors. The author of Ruhul Mani writes that while an earlier verse of the surah spoke about those who prostrate when they hear Allah's verses, this verse discusses the opposite side of the coin and condemns those who turn away in aversion when they hear Allah's verses being recited. Verse number 23, 4 and 25. وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا مُوسَى الْكِتَابَ فَلَا تَكُنْ فِي مِرْيَةٍ مِّن لِقَائِهِ وَجَعَلْنَاهُ هُدًى لِبَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ. Undoubtedly we gave the book to Musa, so never be in doubt about receiving it, and we made it a means of guidance for the Bani Israel. وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْهُمْ إِمَّةً يَهْدُونَ بِأَمْرِنَا لَمَّا صَبَرُوا وَكَانُوا بِآيَاتِنَا يُوقِنُونَ. We made leaders from them who guided under our commanded when they were patient and were convinced about our verses. Inna rabbaka huwa yafsilu bainahum yawmul qiyamati fima kanu fihi yakhtalifun. Indeed, only your Rabb shall decide between them on the day of Qiyamah concerning the matter in which they differed. Allah says, undoubtedly, we gave the book to Musa, so never be in doubt about receiving it. Just as Allah revealed the Torah to Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, He revealed the Quran to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Allah therefore urges the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam never to doubt the fact that these divine scriptures are really from Allah. The verse also alludes to the fact that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam should never be despondent when people harass him, because they did the same to Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, but he persevered, preserved and withstood all options. Just as the Torah was Allah's book, so too is the Quran. Hazrat Hassan Basri Rahimullah has interpreted the verse to mean that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam should never doubt the difficulties which Hazrat Musa alayhi salam endured, and we made it the Torah a mean of guidance for the Bani Israel. In the same way, the Quran is a mean of guidance for the Ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We made leaders from them, the Bani Israel, who guided under our command when they are patient and were convinced about our verses. This verse denotes that patience is of paramount importance when one is a leader and a guide of others. The conviction that these leaders had in Allah's verses made them resolved and grant them fortitude in their effort of propagation. Certain commentators mention that these leaders were the Anbiya alayhi salam, while other maintains that they also included those followers of these Anbiya alayhi salam who propagated the teachings of their Nabi. The second interpretation seems more appropriate because Allah adds, and were convinced about our verses, since the Anbiya alayhi salam were always convinced about Allah's verses. The addition would be redundant if applies to them. The verse therefore applies to all propagation of religion. Indeed, only your Rabb shall decide between them on the day of Qiyamah concerning the matters in which they differed. The result of this decision will be that the Mu'mineen will be entered into Jannah, like the Kuffar will be condemned to Jahannam. The verse also consoles the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam because it tells him that Allah will deal with his opponent on the day of Qiyamah. Verse number 26-27. أَوَلَمْ يَهْدِ لَهُمْ أَنْ كَمْ أَهْلَكْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ مِنَ الْقُرُونِ يَمْشَوْنَ فِي مَسَاكِنِهِمْ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ أَفَلَا يَسْمَعُونَ. Have they not been guided by the fact that we destroyed so many generations before them? They even walk in their settlements. There are certainly many signs in this. Do they not listen? أَوَلَمْ يَرَوْا أَنَّا نَسُوقَ الْمَاءَ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ الْجُرُزِ وَنُخْرِجُ بِهِ زَرْعًا تَأْكُلُ مِنْهُ أَنْعَامُهُمْ وَأَنْفُسُهُمْ أَفَلَا يُبْصِرُونَ. Do they not see that we dispatch water to arid land, thereby extracting plants from which your animals and you eat? Do they not see? These people who denied the obstaculeship of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam even denied the warning of pending punishment. Referring to such people, Allah asked, have they not been guided by the fact that we destroyed so many generations before them? Not only did the mushrikeen of Makkah hear the historical account of the destroyed nation, but they even witnessed the ruins of their once thriving cities when they traveled for trade to Sham. With reference to this, Allah says, they can walk in the ruins of their settlements. There are certainly many signs in this. Do they not listen? Allah says in Surah Hajj, many were the towns that we destroyed when they were oppressive. They now lie collapsed upon their roofs, and many are the disused wells and the fortresses that were once well built. Verse number 45. Allah then makes reference to those who denied the Qiyamah will occur. He asks, do they not see that we dispatch water to arid land, thereby extracting plants from which you animals and you eat? Do they not see that Allah can resurrect man in the same way? Allah says in Surah Rum, so look at the signs of Allah's mercy and how He revives the earth after His death. Undoubtedly, He gives life to the dead and He has power over all things. Verse number 50. Now I'll recite the last three verses of the surah. وَيَقُولُونَ مَتَى هَذَا الْفَتْحُ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. They say, when will this decision take place if you are truthful? قُلْ يَوْمَ الْفَتْحِ لَا يَنْفَعُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا إِيمَانُهُمْ وَلَا هُمْ يُنْصَرُونَ. Say, on the day of the decision, the fact of the disbelievers will be of no avail to them, neither will they be granted respite. فَأَعْرِضْ عَنْهُمْ وَانْتَظِرْ إِنَّهُمْ مُنْتَظِرُونَ. So turn away from them and wait. They are also waiting. When the kuffar are informed about Allah's judgment on the day of Qiyamah, they mockingly say, when will this decision take place if you are truthful? They ask to be informed about the precise date of Qiyamah. Allah tells them not to be hasty in the matter because Qiyamah will certainly dawn when they will not be able to escape Allah's punishment. The fact that Qiyamah has not yet dawned does not mean that it will not occur. In fact, they will be in such a forlorn state on that day that Allah says, say on the day of the decision, the faith of the disbelievers will be of no avail to them, neither will they be granted respite if they were to beg for it. So turn away from them. They will have to face the disastrous consequences of their belief because they refuse to yield to the truth. Allah concludes the surah by saying, and wait, they are also waiting. Allah bids Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to patiently await Allah's assistance just as the kuffar await Allah's punishment. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.